Hey, what I'm going to talk about today is literally the most important thing about teaching. Literally, bar none, the most important thing. And I've seen a lot of people in the chat rooms recently posting questions, asking essentially if they will be good teachers, whether they're worthy of the profession, and nervous about ruining kids' lives and not being an effective teacher. And that's awesome. And I'll tell you why. Because I know they're going to be awesome teachers because there's one factor. They care. If they're nervous about how they're going to perform for these kids, that means they care. Every single other thing is coachable, whether it's lesson plans, instructional technique, classroom discipline. Every one of those things is coachable. We can fix everything else. The one thing we can't coach is caring. So you have to have that piece. You have to love your kids and your subject knowledge. You've got to really love both of them. I believe in the golden rule. I've talked about it in other lessons, and I don't believe in the golden rule just between students. Obviously, I want students to respect each other, but I think the teacher needs to respect the students and vice versa. So I practice what I preach. I treat each one of those students exactly the same way I want to be treated from them if I'm in that desk. Remember what it's like to be stuck on the other side of that desk. These students, they're stuck in the desk 4, 5, 6 hours a day. They get some breaks in between classes walking around. They get a lunch break and possibly PE, but they spend a lot of time in that desk sitting. So think about yourself when you're in an in-service that you don't want to be there, and you're hoping the person is entertaining and engaging. That's kind of how they are. So you have to remind yourself what it's like to be on the other side of that desk. One of the things you can do, actually, let me backtrack here for a second. One of the things I do is I tell the students I care. I repeatedly tell the students I care just to remind them there's an adult out there somewhere. And you know when I especially do it is when I write a kid up. When I have to put a kid on discipline referral, which is a rare occasion, but it does happen. When I'm done, I'll say, look, I'm doing this for your own good because we need consequences when you act certain ways. Um, and I do care about you. And when you atone for what you've done, when you get this process with administration, you come back in this classroom, understand I do care. Another thing you can do to show students you care is volunteer and coach. That's why coaches are so beloved by students because they make pennies an hour out there coaching. Coaches don't get paid very well at all until you get to the college level, and then the pay is obscene. But at the high school and middle school levels, coaches don't get paid much at all. Or sponsor a club. It can be as obscure as the plant club or the chess club. But those 5 or 10 kids in there, they will do anything for you. You know why? Because they know you care. Whenever you are putting a student on discipline referral, or okay, I keep saying discipline referral, there's a lot of things you can do before you get there. When you're disciplining a student, make sure you explain why. We all have different backgrounds. I had a very strict background. If I got in trouble at school, the consequences at home were far worse. And I was taught to grow up and treat adults with respect. Not everybody gets that. Some kids don't have their parents home until 6 or 7 o'clock at night. We're in that society now where some of these kids are just not receiving any discipline at all. So we often make the mistake of assuming they understand how to act. That is absolutely not true. Just remember that a lot of these students don't even know how to act. They've not been taught how to act. It may be a couple of generations since anybody's really been teaching them proper societal behavior. So we have to teach some of these students. Now, you'll have a lot of students who know exactly how to act, but you're going to have some who legitimately are confused and don't know how to act, and there's no consequences at home. And when they talk to you, if they're arguing, listen to their side of the story, and then you can refute it. And in some cases, I mean, there's been times when I've been like, you know what? You're right. I'm going to let it go this time and just don't do it again. It was not clear on my end of conveying to you the classroom procedure on that particular thing. So from here on out, this is what we do, but I'm going to let this one go because you're right. It's on me. I didn't explain it enough. Be fair. Make sure that if you're doling out consequences for certain discipline, whether it's a lunch detention or whatever you're doing, that you give the same infractions, the same consequences, regardless of the students. I get it. There's going to be occasional students that wear on your last nerve, and you just you've just had enough. But if they are doing the same thing as somebody else got a consequence for, you need to give them the same consequence. And when you are on your last nerve and somebody acts completely inappropriately and you can feel the hair on the back of your neck standing up, remind yourself of this. Every kid in that classroom is somebody's little boy or little girl. Every child in there is somebody's son or daughter. And regardless of what they did, if it was your child, how would you want the teacher to talk to them? Keep that in the back of your mind. Have a sense of humor. Sometimes they're actually funny. If it's not too bad of an infraction and I laugh, sometimes I'll say, "Hey, knock it off! Don't do that again," and let it go at that. Your relationship with your students will make or break you, regardless of subject knowledge, your classroom discipline techniques, everything that they teach you as far as being a teacher. If you can have all of those skills, but if you are inconsistent with your discipline, if you're mean or make it personal, the students will not respond well and they can break you. The converse is true too. If you convey to them that you care, again, like I said, I can't say enough how much I reiterate that in class all the time. If they know you care and you're genuine about it, they can make you. They can cover up your teaching deficits. And I've got plenty of teacher deficits myself, and the kids always do a great job. If I'm being evaluated, students are more nervous about it than I am. You'll, you'll see the students they'll all raise their hand even if they don't know the answer just to make me look good. So it's one of those things where if they know you care, they will cover your deficits. And administration knows that. You can hear kids saying, "Look, Mr. Cole's being evaluated today. You better be on your best behavior." And that kid who's always jumping around will be like, "Okay, I get it. Today I'll be good." Um, my first year, our principal put it best. He was talking to, I teach at the high school level. This is true at high school, may or may not be true at middle school, but definitely true in the high schools, which is if the kids know you care and they like being in your class, no matter how bad your instructional technique is, they can teach themselves. So if they know you care, you're sponsoring activities, you're coaching sports, you're telling them every day how much you do care about them, um, they'll do the rest. And perfect example, my first year teaching, they put me in charge of computer keyboard because I had a business degree and I was certified to teach business. Now, I've had one keyboarding class in my entire life. As far as the keyboard instructor goes, I am lacking. Literally in that class, I kid you not, the kids taught me how to type. They already came in with a pretty good skill set from, I had some kids in there typing 60 words a minute, and they were showing me and giving me things to type. So at the end of the day, they knew I cared. I'd won them over, and and they taught me how to teach. I had a couple students in there who, because it's my first year teaching, first few weeks, they ran the classroom discipline for me, believe it or not. I had a couple of people who'd be like, "Sit down and shut up, get on task, Mr. Cole's talking." Stunning. I mean, that's powerful. So again, I told you I have some deficits, and that was one of them. Now I got better when you put me in environmental science. I rock it, but keyboarding, not so much. All right. Last but not least, every accomplishment in my career really comes down to students. Whether it's winning games as a coach, whether it's having a high pass rate in particular subjects, whether it's winning state championships in the Envirothon, any of these things. I didn't do any of that. The students did all of that. All of that comes back to them doing the work. I just point them in the right direction and end up getting a lot of the credit for it. So keep that in the back of your mind. Hopefully you've learned some things from this. And if you did and you think it's a good video, please like it. If you like the video, think about subscribing. There's a lot more to come. I'm going to talk about some other things. And if you're a veteran teacher and you have some things you'd like to add as far as ways to demonstrate that you care, love to have the comments down below. New teachers, if you have questions, please put some comments down below. But at the end of the day, this is the most important, powerful profession out there. We teach the doctors, we teach the lawyers, we teach the president of the United States. Every president has gone through a school system somewhere. And finally, we teach the teachers, the future heroes. And that's powerful. Just keep that in mind. So thank you for your time. Cole Stirrell.